Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to today's conversation on Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sarah Jane, and I am going to say hi to my co-hosts. Scott, hi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And to David. David, thank you for joining us.
Hi, it's great to be here again.
Thank you. And to our guest, Cornelle Sterk. Cornella, thank you for joining us and for the choice of for the subject, which I think we're all going to learn from this evening, which is holistic emology.
Yes.
Please share a little about yourself, and I believe you're going to do some of this in Dutch for your Dutch followers, so that would be wonderful. But share a little about yourself and why this subject.
First, thank you for inviting me, and all to the beautiful men here also. We are going together make a beautiful evening. And as I spoke to you before, I do it also a little bit in Dutch. Dus ik wil iedereen bedanken die hier aanwezig is. We gaan er een leuke avond van maken. Alles over holistic emology. Verder ga ik het in het Engels doen, anders moet ik te veel switchen. En ik doe het gewoon lekker dan op zijn Engels, op zijn Duits. Oké? Oké. I will explain. So, my name is Cornelle Sterk. I live at this moment in Antwerp, and I'm working with holistic emology. I do that because I frequently get the question, what are you doing? And already a few years I was thinking, what am I doing? So are you a coach? Are you a life coach? Are you a holistic coach? Are you a trainer? Are you a holistic therapist? Are you an intuitive therapist? Are you creative? So there is a lot. But when you start that line, what you're doing, people say, okay, thank you, bye. So that's not how we do it. So I had some moments and I thought, okay, what do I do with people and with myself first? So, do I work on my physical body? Yes. Do I work on my mental state, mental body? Yes. And do I something with my emotional body? Yes. And spiritual? Yes. So, what is something that holds it all together? And for me, there are psychologists, there are trainers, there are life coaches, there are, of course, the medical world, science. And I thought, no. I must go deeper, because what makes the people do the things they do? Because they think how they learned to think. But when it don't feel well, you get sick. Look at me, I had diseases. And I thought it has to do with emotions. So what kind of word can I use now that makes it all complete? Emology. It was there, not emotioloog. That was too hard. And I'm very direct in coaching, but the name can be soft because the emotion field, the fields of all the emotions and the feelings who are standing for the who I am, it can be soft and vulnerable, because that is what we need to learn again. Be vulnerable from our feelings, show the world the action, and make yourself believe that you are free to be yourself. And that is the holistic way. So physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Spiritually means not sitting on a mountain all day. No. It is use your talents, and so you can live your mission. And then, of course, you have the parents, and the parents from the parents, and the parents from the parents from the parents. And in that field of emotions, every cell can feel, can think, can do his job to be physical, but all the things from all that kind of patterns from the past, from parents or other laying up, makes us not who we really are. And because now the world is shifting, and today's 24, it is also full moon in Scorpio. Oh my God, it's so nice to me. So when we are shifting, we can clean up ourselves. And that I also did with my diseases. So I had cancer. I still have, they say, I don't believe it anymore, but okay. So the 8th of May, I have a CT scan, it's okay. But I worked on every level. And here I am. They gave me 2 months. and that's 2 years ago almost. So, or they don't count well, or they don't believe that everything has a meaning and you can work on it yourself. So that for me is holistic Emology.
Wow. but it's so true, isn't it? It's about so many. There's something that's going to be showing, and they're talking about people have got illnesses, and actually the real root cause of those illnesses is trauma, and it is. We hold within ourselves. The way I think about it is, at any age, but obviously certainly when we're very, very young, we have no idea how to deal with things.
No.
And so they get buried and they never get dealt with. At the age we are now, we could still say, oh, I haven't got time to deal with that. I'll deal with that later. But we bury it. And do we deal with it? And so it comes back to bite us. And it's when it's all it is a part of us saying there is time for something within you to be dealt with, to be acknowledged.
Yes, so true, because you have the trauma in every form and every way, big or small, that is hidden, and that you hidden yourself. But you have also the limbic system that is hidden trauma from other from the father or the mother, because
generations.
We all together have the limbic resonance with our mother. So she was also in a mother, and that grandmother was also in a mother. So you see, it is not that easy sometimes to know where is it coming from. I'm happy, and in a way I feel sad, and I get sick. I have whatever physically things the body will show. I always say the body is the postman. I don't know if you all know the film The Postman Always Rings Twice, a long time ago, one of my favorites. Yeah. So the body all the time brings us the letters and the telegrams and everything. But we need to read them and not put them up. And no. I give the postman a coffee or a cigarette or nice food or a healthy food or whatever, and he will go away. No, he's coming back.
So what you're saying is lessons learned. If we don't learn them the first time, they're going to come back around.
Yeah, maybe another part. Yeah.
And a second, third, fourth time, and those are the lessons learned. And I love what you're saying about generational.
Thank you.
We deal with energy. Everything I do, very similar to yourself, especially in dealing with clients, is emotions are energy in motion. And so therefore, when it gets stuck is when and it sits there and it doesn't get dealt with is when disease happens, dis-ease. And I love your phraseology, holistic emology. It denotes a much deeper understanding of emotion.
Yes.
It really does. And that's what it says to me when I think about it. And I was talking to this young lady just today about her emotions and how she has a hard time expressing them. And she's trying to get pregnant, and she said, I don't want to bring that to my children. I want to be able to speak. I want to be able to release that before I have children. And it really resonated with me that she had that understanding, 27 years old, and before she has children, she wants to be able to heal. And I love that, what you said about mother. You carry that down, cells understand it, they remember it. We bring so much of our genealogy into us. And a lot of times we don't know why we feel the way we do. We just know we do. And it's conditioning and also that genealogy.
Yeah, that's so true. So beautiful that the lady of 27 already has that in her, that she feels like that. It's amazing. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because also, yes,
David.
Sorry. This is really fascinating because I think it also relates to a conversation I was having last night with somebody. about how we affect ourselves as well. And yes, we carry so much down from our ancestors.
Yeah.
And so I think we've got to the point now in this kind of time that we now have the releasing techniques and understanding of not carrying everything that does not belong to us, that causes disease, as you say, Scott. But also it's the way we use words on ourselves as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
Do you think the way we talk to ourselves, say, oh, you done a bad day today, hell, and you're telling that and you're causing that disruption in with yourself as well, because words are spells or spelling. So you're putting that on yourself as well as carrying and being open to, we know we're a magnet. So if we're carrying something for 2 or 3 generations back, we can be in the company of somebody and they recognize it, and boy, it passes on to us as well because
Yeah.
our body recognizes it. So it's so important, especially if you're an empath, really to make sure you're always cleansing or always aware of
Mhm.
how that could affect you as well.
That's definitely true, because also in the Bible, to say that kind of situation, there's written that first there was the Word. So when you read it as a holistic emologist like me, and before a holistic coach, because I was growing, of course, then I thought, okay, in my youth, I went to church often, and I thought, oh, I never understood. First, there was the word. So every word we say, but every word we think, it's the vibration and has the frequency to kill
Yeah.
our inner child or try to kill our inner child. But that is so stubborn, it will live always, even when it's small, and it's going to fight. So when you say something nice for yourself, and a lot of people I see around me, they are doing affirmations, they see quotes on the internet, and they say, I say that quote every day. I say, okay, and how do you think? Because it's not only the word, it's also how do you think. That is has also a frequency. Every organ has its frequency. So as Hawkins say it very clearly, when you have the 100 hertz, then an organ is under the based situation of feeling happy. So when you go to the 1,000, you are enlightened. Okay, for me that's a little bit too much in this life, so step by step. But then you can see there's a relation between talking and thinking. So when we say to each other, you need to take care of yourself. Okay, so I have good food, I'm very happy, I'm talking to everyone, I respect everyone, but how are you doing it to yourself? And that is a part where for people it's very difficult, but because we all learn to deal first with other people. They must be happy, they must be satisfied, they need everything, and then I can be happy. But I'm too exhausted to be happy. So I kill myself. Oh my God, stupid, I did it again. I must place myself first. No, that's not okay. No. That is egoistic. Okay. So at this moment, the shift is going on. So people get awake more and more and have that self-esteem growing to take care of themselves in every part also. So how you are dealing with that, Sara? I want to know.
Well, we've got a couple of comments actually, and I'm going to go to the comment first before the question.
Yeah.
Came in second. Sophie, I find this young generation to be very aware that they have transgenerational. Transgenerational, that's all right. Thank you. I can't see this properly. I need to get my eyes tested. That they can pass on to their children. So nice to see. So yes, absolutely, I agree that there are some who have, especially if the age where they're having children, who are, it's going to be different. We're going to change it. We're going to sort of it stops with me. But Oriane says, what's the most important thing we can teach our children? according to emotions. So about emotions.
I think that you can teach them first to tell them what emotions are in their own level, but also show them how you do it, because we are, without words, a role model for our children and our environment. So they have questions more than we as adults can imagine. I also work with children with energy, but also with coaching, and they ask questions. They don't ask at home because everybody's busy. Work, and we must do it. Be nice, be kind, do your best, take your diploma, because otherwise you cannot have a nice house like papi and mommy. So what? No, what is the feeling about everything? How do you feel? Not what did you do today at school, but how was school? How was your feeling about it? So teach them that feeling is very normal to talk about. Not only the action and the goal. To reach the goal, you need that action. No, how does it feel? So that is for me. I hope I give the answer right to her, that she can do something with it with her children. You can also draw your feeling. Mama also do it, or daddy is also doing it. So we sit together, we take the paint, and just, what do we feel? We close our eyes and just paint. And then talk about it. And a lot of people, adults who are also with their children in my practice, they say, I didn't know my children feel that much. So, open the gate, not action, not goal, not mentally be strong, and physically, no, also emotionally. That's the basis.
So,
sorry, Scott. I meant we'll come to you, Dave, in a second.
what I was going to say is it took me years.
That's okay.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
It took me years to understand that I actually had feelings. I was the best. I would push everything down. Emotion would come up, it'd be overwhelming. I couldn't deal with it, so I'd push it down, and then I would push that one down. So it was like a trash compactor, and keep pushing. And all of a sudden, and then poof.
Yeah.
When I was about 35, 36 years old, everything just came out. Totally overwhelming, all those emotions, because I never dealt with them.
Yeah.
I always had problems with digestively. I always had, in my digestive tract, I always had problems with my, being sick all the time, and I never knew why. It wasn't until I started dealing with those emotions, and they weren't necessarily bad. They were just emotions, and I didn't know how to deal. I was never really shown how to deal with those emotions, or was in a safe place to be able to express them.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the most important. I do work with hospice, and understanding the true term of holding space for somebody, sitting for an hour and a half, and maybe 5 words get said, and for them to know that someone is there and that they are safe in that moment makes all the difference, especially at end of life. But I also see that with my grandchildren. They're older now, but in being able to ask the questions and be able to hold the space to listen, I do much more time listening now than I ever used to. I don't feel I have to just fill the space, but just to listen. And it's amazing what comes out when you allow that time.
It's amazing. Yeah. And that's so nice you say that, because when I teach my students doing coaching also, or psychology, I always say, what is the meaning that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth? Listen to people. And you have 2 eyes to observe. And when you don't know what's happening, then ask, what is happening? Not, are you feeling not good? No, what is happening? Give people the freedom to let it out. So thank you also. So beautiful. Yeah. So you had the explosion of emotion.
Oh, it was not a very good time. I was trying to grab them and put them back in because, I didn't want to have to deal with them, and I didn't know what to do with them, and I didn't know how to, and I was, just a roller coaster of, I was always very, very even, very solid, and I was all over the place, and I didn't know what to expect or how I was going to react. And for me, that was just overwhelming in every aspect. My family was understanding of it, and I got through it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't ask anybody else to do that. So, in working with my clients, I try to get them to truly feel, express, or at least understand that they have emotions, that it's okay to have those emotions, even if they can't speak it.
Yeah, and that is very hard to work with people, not for me, but for the people, that they say, I cannot feel anything. And that's also very sad, because how can you deal with yourself when you don't feel your emotions? And most of the time when I work with people who are very high sensitive also, they feel a lot of things, they feel a lot of emotions, and they don't know which is mine and which is from the other person. And that's also when you work with the holistic emology, that you look, okay, which organ is talking to you the loudest? What do you feel? Is it your intestines, or is it your stomach, or are it your lungs, or is it your neck? And then you come to these people more inside, and then they can feel a little bit, oh, that's mine and that's not mine. So, oh wow, I know I can separate them. And that's also the start of the healing process of people who are very high sensitive. Children, adults, because also adults are, of course, sensitive or high sensitive. So yeah, beautiful.
David.
Thank you. This is such fascinating information. But I was sitting there and I think when we go back to the younger child, we've had no responsibilities. We've been free.
Mm-hmm.
We've been free to play. We've been free to imagine. And then once we start going into different systems, about the age of 7, everything from here is disrupted and it's taken into here. And we become so disconnected from feeling, from this gut feeling. And if we go back maybe hundreds of thousands of years, then the original wisdom teachers or the ancients, they done everything by feeling, because we didn't have the perhaps theoretical knowledge, and we done everything by feeling. We felt what plants were good for us. We felt what trees could help with the medicine, and we felt the energy of others. And I think that's the natural. And then now we're in a world which over the past couple of 100 years has taken us away from our natural feeling into this overrated thinking and analytical. And so that has put our body, drawn our body away from our natural state of being, of who we are. So is it a wonder we get dis-ease within our body and everything else, because we're just computing on a unnatural level by taking away our feelings? And it is sad when people say, I don't feel anything. It's almost like they've become detached from their soul in a way.
That's, of course, the problem. That is mission also. So when you don't live your mission and you forget everything, and I'm aware of the fact that we are all responsibility that we live the ways how we live because of industrialization. Everything must be more, bigger, faster. But you are so right. We are so disconnected from nature. And that causes also the diseases. And that's also why the big pharmacy are taking herbs who are working very well. They take big fields in Canada, there are, and they try to find out how it's what are the pieces in it, or are how is it working? What is working? And they make it chemical. So in a way, it is stupid, but still it is going on.
Yeah.
So that's I really want also to, and that's also I'm so happy to be here tonight, that people now understand that nature is more important for us than we maybe feel.
Yeah.
I think it's very important. And when you say long time ago, 1,000 to 100,000 years ago, still the mother who is in her egg, they are the mitochondrion. So she is passing through not only the nice things, but also the bad things. And when a lady at this moment her egg is going intruded by the sperm, then that DNR situation is also getting the fear of the mother or whatever, the lower energy. So we must fight extra already in the womb. And I think that more people must be aware of that. It's not when we 7 years that we are changing because we go to school. I think it's already before we even see daylight, see the world. And then you can work also with energy on it. Before, during, and after pregnancy. So let's make us like a big team who are going to do that.
We've got a comment from, I'm assuming it said Sara, bearing in mind how it is spelt, although that's how I spell it, and I'm Sarah. But anyway, Sara says, I'm currently reading a book about it, and it's because it seems our parents were raising us, being emotionally unavailable, so we missed that during our important childhood years. For me, and I get exactly what she's saying. It's our parents have gone through experiences, and it's what's happened to them during their childhood, and that is how they feel it's got to be for their children. And so it is it goes back to this generational thing. What we experience as a child is what we consider until we realize actually it stops here. But what we experience as a child is what we think. So if you've got a child, male child, that witnesses the mother being abusive to the father, let's really mix this up, shall we? Because it happens. That male child is likely to end up in a relationship where the woman is abusive to them. And that happens with girls who witness their mother being beaten up. They end up in relationships where they get beaten up. It happens. So it happens with boys and girls, men and women. What we witness as children is what we believe within the home, is what we believe to be how a family relationship should be. And we don't know any different. And it doesn't matter how and with the emotions of that, we don't know how to deal with. But that's how life should be. No, it's not. But until they can say, that's not happening to me, I'm not prepared to take that. I'm prepared to turn around and say, no more. And that's what's the important thing here is you find people who don't know how to be tactile. They don't know how to give their child a hug and a cuddle. That's because they weren't cuddled as a child.
Yeah. They cannot say, I love you.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But
and they can't hear a compliment. They can't hear anything because it's not been a part of. So yeah, I believe this is exactly what you're talking about there.
But also, Sara, I had a lady client this morning, and she was not aware of the fact what she was doing herself till we worked on a little project so that the norms and values of the both parents we wrote down, and then I asked her, and what are you doing? Your father, the negative things he was doing, and the positive things, like the mother, what she experienced as positive or negative. Okay, not with disrespectful, just how it was for her in her belief. And then she saw, oh my gosh, I do the same to my children, to myself. And I thought I didn't do it, because I always told myself, when I have kids, I don't do it this way. And now I'm aware of the fact I'm doing the same. So that was a moment of awakening, and she went out happy. So from now I know why I have all the time my migraine, why I have problems with the stomach and with the headaches. So that is inside the person. There's also, I also go like a ballerina. You go like poop, and you don't know how it's coming there. So there is a conflict in every person, and it's how do you deal, what you want to deal with it, with the conflict, and how are you want to deal with the conflict, and are you aware of the conflict? So what you say is so true. As long as we are not aware of the fact that it's happening, and when it's not disturbing, we just go on.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to stop. That's my dream for the whole world. That's stupid, of course, but it's I'm a little stone in the water,
Aren't we all? So I don't know about anybody else who has children, but I always said, when I have kids, I'll never say that to my children.
Oh yes, that, yeah. Okay.
So now I've been married. I have 3 girls.
Yeah.
I'm working 3 jobs, and I'm just, I get 6 hours of sleep a night. I'm tired all the time. I'm just trying to make do, and they push the buttons, and my father comes out of my mouth, and I just, because I swore I would never say that to my children. But when you get down to that level, that's the reaction. And it's funny. I just lost my parents a couple of years ago, but my father said, I never have to change. And I looked at him and I said, you always have to change. You have to change with the times. You have to change. Well, I've been doing things the same way forever. Doesn't matter whether they worked or not. He thought they worked for him. But I have changed so dramatically since my wife passed. I mean, I am not even close to resembling the same person that I used to be. How I speak to people, how I present, my thought processes, all of that, because I did not want it to continue. And there's in the modalities that I use, it's about when you heal yourself, you're healing past generations.
True.
You're healing back, but you're also healing forward.
It's amazing.
And that to me was the most important part. I want my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren to not have to suffer those same kinds of anxieties and fears that really aren't based in reality or what's in front of you, but are felt because they're passed along.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
David.
Because I'm also, David.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I'm just picking out things that have come up to me in the past week as well. We influence ourselves as well by words, don't we?
Yeah. Definitely.
Like when we said, "Oh, we haven't had a good day. You're not a good day," but we looked at that wider and say, "I'm going to work on a weekday." So what you're saying is you're going to work when you're weak. We have to look at how we're speaking as well, because we're saying, oh, I work on weekdays. So you're weak, although it's a week during the week, but we're also saying we are weak. So I think language comes into this as well. Language that's been passed down to us that we accept, but we don't realize the connotations or the energy or the frequency, because the frequency doesn't know whether we have a weekday or we are weak. It's just that frequency. And I think it's so important how we use the language as well, which is kind of changing as it does over the years. But when we lose that true meaning and we put it into another way, we're also causing a dis-ease within our body as well. And it makes you wonder. I feel sorry for children just at the moment in this life. From the childhood I had, that freedom of going out and coming back when the street lights went on, you could really be yourself.
Yeah.
And you just played. But now children are so constricted. They don't have that freedom because of things that have come into their life. They don't go out and play. They don't exchange so much feeling. Everything's on the phone and you can't put feeling into it. And then when children go through difficult times, like you said at the beginning, they don't know how to feel. And we've lost all of that in the way culture has gone as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Because culture is killing fields at the moment. For a lot of people, for children, for communities, for society, for a lot of things. No? Because you must follow the rules. And when you don't follow the rule, you're an expat.
Yeah. And there's so much strain and pressure on young people now, especially for their mental health. I really feel things have got to change and we've got to get children back and a lot of adults back to being able to feel and speak and really communicate to help their health, not just for now, but for the future.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So I also ask myself sometimes, you have a left and a right front lobe. No? And the one is to analyze everything, and the other one is to be creative and to be intuitive. So there is also a disbalance between the two of them, just in your physical body. So, and when you try to find out how to come from the point zero in between to the creative part, people are getting sick. They have an illness because they're not aware of the fact that I can be creative and I can be like a child. I can just do crazy things and just walk with my bare feet on the grass. And for a lot of people, it's normal. But for most of the people, it's like, no, that's not normal. How can you do that? So the rules are also killing fields for a lot of people. What is normal at this moment? Do you know what is normal?
No.
Normality is written in rules by governments who are only trying to make us be in fear. And of course, it's very low, that energy frequency. So when the energy is very low, of course there are diseases. But thank God, we have our medical treatments, So that's how people think too.
Normal. Whose definition is it anyway?
I don't know. I'm not normal.
No, but I am. I'm my normal.
Voila. Thank you. Yes.
And that's the important thing. I've spent time working with both adults and children with learning difficulties and children with behavioral problems as well. And it was years ago when I was still in my teens. My parents had a small hotel and we had a group of adults with learning difficulties. It was called mentally handicapped in those days. Adults with learning difficulties. They came, they had nuns looking after them, and they had a holiday. And I remember thinking as a teenager, because they had their clothes sorted out for them, their meals sorted out for them, they were able to go out and have fun. And it was just a matter of, and I remember thinking then, and I don't like the term us and them, I really don't, but for the purposes of this, I remember thinking, who's got the learning disability, them or us? Yeah. Or the mental handicap, actually. And I felt, do you know what? I felt it was us that's got the handicap.
Yeah.
because they've got nothing to worry about. I'm not saying their life's easy, it may not be, but the overview of this teenager was looking at these wonderful ladies who everything was taken care of for them. Yet there was me having to work in my parents' hotel, going out and getting a little job, doing paper rounds and goodness knows what else in my teens.
Yeah.
I was working. I couldn't have anything without earning some money to be able to do it. And it was, who's got the handicap? And I considered that actually we had. And I then ended up years later working with adults with learning difficulties and then children. And it was just like, and I remember telling this story to one of those ladies, and her immediate reaction when I used the word mentally handicapped was to say, yes, but listen to the story. And she did understand.
Yeah.
And it's
amazing.
But I also think, going back to the point about words, is when you do something and you think, oh, I don't go, oh, that's silly. I don't use terms like that, because your body doesn't understand the difference between you saying that word with a smile and you saying that word with anger. You know, oh, that was silly. That was stupid. It was just like, oh, bless you. I do love you. What energies are we giving to ourselves? I keep trying to say this to my younger sister.
I can write a book about it. I remember the 16th of April last year. I went to the hospital and I told my oncologist, I will stop with everything you are doing to me, with the immunotherapy and with also the chemo. Because they say, oh, it's going well. I went in the hospital just because I have a conversation with my holistic doctor, so it's very aggressive, so do a few times, and then I already was doing my holistic treatment. No? And then they looked at me and they say, but that's not the norm we are dealing with in this hospital. You must have 10. And I said, is that the norm? Is that normal? Yes. I said, no, for me it's not normal, because my body now says, stop it, or you are going to wave to your oncologist from the other side and she won't see it. No? So I stopped because my energy field was low, 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 low. For me, it was not normal. And then I felt, this is not my norm of getting healthy. No, it's the norm that I go in myself, put myself together, go in trust, talk with my body. And I talked so many times with my body that when a psychologist will hear it, I definitely go in. But I'm here, you know? So it works. It works that you make your own norms. What's fitting you? What is fitting your soul? What is maybe your lesson? It's a big word, but what is maybe your direction? Is it not a good direction? Hopla. You are going to drive the other way. Not a doctor, not a friend, not a partner, not your father, not nobody, you. Whatever happens. No? And then people go in fear. They don't like me anymore. And I said, on the corner, there are 20 people are saying, hi, we love you because you do the same. So that gives the power. Yeah. So what is the norm?
Scott.
The way that I can relate to that is I was going in, and my doctor had said, well, your elevated levels, you're going to have not only a colonoscopy, we're going to take sample, because I'm very sure that you have cancer. Okay. And I said, and I said, you know what? I don't need, in this time of my life, I don't need that. I've already been through that with my wife. I've already been through that with my family. I don't need to learn that lesson. Yeah. I was working with a yogini, and I went through meditations, Indian meditations, and I mean, really faithfully. And I pictured everything, much like yourself. I pictured my body whole. I pictured my body as being healthy. Yeah. I talked to my body. I didn't cast it out saying, "Oh, you're no good to me." You didn't. I cast it that it was working, and that it was working properly, and that I did not need to go through this journey, that part of the journey with cancer, in order to learn the lessons. I've already learned them.
I know them. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So the doctor, we went in, they took the samples, and he comes out and he's shaking his head. He said, I don't understand it. I said, what is it you don't understand? He said, we didn't see anything.
Right.
A month later, I went to the doctor, had my levels, and they were normal. And he says, I don't understand this. I said, well, I know you won't, but I said, I healed myself. I helped heal myself.
Perfect.
My body did it.
Yeah.
He says, well, we don't normally see this. I said, exactly.
Normally.
Normal. So I had a multiply handicapped child. She got sick when she was 15 months old, and she eventually died when she was 15 years old, but she was very involved. And so many times we went to the doctors, and they would say, well, with children like this, we do this. And my wife and I would look at them and go, maybe. And they'd look at us. Now, we were going in and out of Boston. Some of the most prestigious hospitals in the world are in Boston. And we would talk to those doctors, and we say, tell me what you're going to do. Because every child who is multiply involved writes their own book. You cannot put them in little slots and say, we do this. And many times we said no, because we were my daughter's advocate. And there was no way that they were going to do things just to do things, because that's the way they always did them. If it did not benefit her, it did not improve her quality of life, it was off the table. One last story to go along with that. My wife was going through a terrible time a couple of years before she passed, and in the hospital, and she had multiple problems going on. She had breast cancer, and I came home with 17 medications. 17. I had to number them all. And there were 5 times a day that I had to give her medication, and she was getting worse. We went into her oncologist after 10 days of being home from the hospital, and I said, you have 3 medications you can give her. He said, what? I said, she's on 17 medications. I can't even keep them straight.
Yeah.
She's getting worse. You have 3. Tell me the 3 you're going to give her. And he just kind of went, okay. We had a very good relationship with him. But I came home. I literally threw everything out except for 3 medications that she absolutely had to have. Within a week, she was back up on her feet, eating. So she was just being so over-medicated. And we all know that once you change the body chemistry and then you keep adding and keep adding and keep adding, your body doesn't know what to do. Because it's being thrown so many curveballs.
Yes, you take away the responsibility, no?
Yes, exactly.
Of the bodies, of the cells, yeah.
Yeah, so we've had many instances where that is the case, where if we listen to our body, most of my clients get better because I help bring them back into their body, clear them, ground them, align them, clear their chakras, their energetic system, so that it actually starts working correctly. It's like plumbing in the house, right? You get a block, you get a backup in the cellar, and then all of a sudden the sink in the bathroom upstairs is blocked, and you get things coming out. Well, yeah, the same way. If you get everything flowing through it, it works, and it works well. It's how we're designed.
And that's perfect, because we learn that when you will build a house now, first you have the windows, then the roof, and then the foundation. No, it's first foundation. So the grounding is the most important thing, and try to live through your intuition, by intuition. Try to live by intuition. That is holistic Emology. Try to feel yourself what you need at that moment. What is now? Maybe tomorrow it's something different. It's okay. But what I need now, you can make it your own. You can test it, and just believe yourself. what you're thinking, not what they told you to think and to believe. No. And that is scary. Oh, so scary. We saw it a few years. There was some kind of pandemic somewhere, and it was the same. You know? Scary things. It's just a little animal. You know?
Sophie says, hospitals and doctors rely on protocols because that fits their medicinal prescriptions. People think it has to do with health, but it's just protocols, non-specific, very strange way of working. And it's what the pharmaceuticals say they've got to be putting together. So sort of, but I'll step back from that one. That's a bee in my bonnet. So David, because we're actually coming close to time. So David, any comments that you'd like to add to that conversation?
Yeah, I think it's so important. Summing up, if anybody can take anything away from this, it's learning to listen to themselves again, learning to get in touch with that intuition. And when I was over in the Netherlands, I just spoke to a couple of kind of surgeons there, and they said they, whether it's still the same or not, I don't know, but they felt that they couldn't operate on the stomach on a full moon because the energy there, and it was so sensitive. Now, I don't know whether this is still going on or it's just one or two people I came across, and they said it's so important. This is such a sensitive area with a second brain, but it's the brain and the intuition that does not go to trip us up. This will question everything and trip us up, where if we listen to ourselves, listen to our second brain, as it's called, or our intuition, we normally get a purer guidance. And if we clear all of what we've been passed on to us down the generations, we can see then what our pathway is with greater clarity. And we're not going, what am I doing in this life? What do I need to do? What am I meant to be doing? Because we've got everybody else's stuff in there as well. So we have to clear that out and understand who we are. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are coming close to the end, and I'd like to obviously give everybody a chance to sort of to say. So, Cornelle, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd actually like to put into this conversation?
I can talk a whole week, but I think we touched some topics, and I hope that the holistic emology is being aware that you have a body, a mind, an emotional being, a spiritual being, energetically. So it's the 5 big ones, and that they're all connected. And I always give a tip to people who are not aware of this. When you feel shit, sorry for my word, pick a song you love, sing it loudly, and you feel happy, and your pain is less. And then write down, how is that coming? It's all vibration. And that's what we need. But yes, okay. I'm now writing some ebooks about energy work in English and Dutch, about inner child. I have a very beautiful ebook from 120 pages about chakras, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. So there is so much to come to explain people, so that maybe when they even have a little thing that they can change after this evening, it's perfect, no? I'm happy. Yeah. So, yeah.
I have put your website address up in the chat, and I will make sure that it's under the YouTube video as well. So, folks, if you wish to get in touch, please do. That's really important. Scott, any final words?
Yes, I wish we had another hour.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought this understanding, and you've really tightened it up about how to present it, so that people can accept it and bring it into their lives. And it's a simple, it's really relatively simple message.
It is so simple. That's why it's so
Yeah.
difficult.
That's again, that's why it's so difficult, because it is that simple.
Yeah.
I love that anybody can do this if they wish to allow the change to happen.
Definitely.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for also sharing.
And it's really important, but we have to be involved in our own healing journey. Nobody else can do it for us. And if we're not prepared to be involved, then you're going to be relying on medication from hospitals. And the truth of the matter is, I've got a friend, and he had heart issues, and they just gave him a whole load of pills. You've got to take all of these. And actually, what he did was, it was just like, I will start taking one at a time. He read everything to do with all of them, absolutely everything to do with all of them. And he's on one particular one. He said, no, I take it every other day. I never take it every day. Because he thinks about his body. He is so health conscious. He's still cycling. He's still doing his karate. He's 72, but he's determined to keep living his life.
Yeah. Perfect. Voilà. 104 I become. So
thank you so much, Cornelle, for sharing with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Been a gap between since you and I sort of originally connected, but it's been great to have you here. Thank you so very much, and to obviously my co-hosts Scott and David. It's been a real pleasure. Next week, I'm being joined by Dennis Richards, and he's going to be sharing Create the Life of Your Dreams with breathwork, quantum regression, and integration therapy. So we're going to be sharing. I'm looking forward to that and finding out more about most of those. So I thought some you got thoughts on, but I hope you'll think about joining us next week. But do come back, listen to this again. There's been so much amazing information, and do consider connecting with Cornelle as well. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you, folks. Take care. Be safe. Stay well. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. En dank jullie wel dat jullie er allemaal waren. Bye bye.
Bye.